Good afternoon, gentlemen. I hope you've been following along, and so far, we've been adding some images to our program and learning how to edit them in Photoshop. And so now I want to add a second image, and I'm going to control it using the keys. Okay, and so I'm going to do a quick walkthrough through that process. So I'm going to open up Photoshop, okay, and remember that I had my hand cursor image that I had saved as a PSD file, okay. And what I want to do here is, I'm going to grab this over here so you can see this, okay. Make sure I'm on my layer, okay. If I can use my magic wand again and select my hand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this a different color, okay. So let's select something that's a little bit different. Blue, I like blue. Blue is nice. Maybe something that stands out a little more. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna do something like that, and now I'm using the foreground color, and on my paint bucket tool, and I'm gonna select my hand and fill it. Okay, and then I can go Command deselect, and what I've done there is I've essentially created a new hand. Okay, and now in Photoshop I can head up to some of this Photoshop is not on the screen, but just like we did last time, we went to File and Export as a PNG, and we saved our other one as hand cursor. So I'm just going to save this as hand cursor 2, okay, or hand cursor blue. That could help, okay. And so now we have a second PNG file, okay. And now we can bring that into Pygame, okay. If you want to go ahead and save this so that you have your Photoshop file still, it's updated, now it's blue. But that's why it's handy to have that Photoshop file document there, okay. So let's head back over to Pygame, and one of the first things I'm going to do is import, right, file upload, and I'm going to import from my desktop my blue image. Okay, so my hand cursor blue, right, and now I have that in there. Okay, now before we get too far ahead of ourselves, the first time I did this, I used example image, but now we're starting to get a little more specific. So I'm going to use a keyword here, and I'm going to update my image name. So here is my cursor image. Okay, and I think that's a little more accurate description of my image, and so I can say my cursor image size. Okay, and this is going to become important because I'm going to be able to duplicate this, right, and that's going to be my cursor image 1, okay, and my X image 1 and Y image 1 can stay the same. Okay, now that all stays the same in here for our mouse position. And where we need to update it, here is our blit. In our blit statement, we have our cursor image 1, okay, and and we'll have to update our if statement as well, okay. And the reason I'm doing this is just to make our code a little more readable, okay, and also when I introduce another cursor, right, it's that easy. I have a nice keyword, but I'm still maintaining the kind of image naming convention that helps that will help for our intersection later on. Okay, so that should work. I think that's all the places. Okay, I'm just going to run that to make sure it works. Okay, and so I got my hand. It works all nice, perfect, good stuff. And so the second part that I'd like to do is I'm going to add a new cursor. Okay, remember we had hand cursor blue over here. I'm going to rename that just to keep it camel case. Okay, and get rid of the space just because I don't like the space. I don't know, I think it's a little cleaner, a little nicer, a little more of a coding convention to name it this way. And what I can do here is, because I have this nice block of code that I created for my cursor image, what I can do is I can copy that. Okay, so let's Control C, and my second image is going to be Control V, and so now I have cursor image 2. Okay, and my cursor image 2 size, and my cursor image 2, right? And so that is helpful, and I can update my hand cursor blue, right? Add there, editing some of my own code, and right there I should have a nice image that I've created. Okay, and you're starting to see some consistency with adding these images. Okay, and this it just helps to be organized, right? As you start to create more and more things, you want to follow some sort of convention so that you have a pattern. It'll really help for your debugging later on. I want to blit that, so we're gonna add some key functionality first. Okay, so the key functionality that we add here is all in our event block. So I'm going to create a little space here. So what you would have already had is this line right here: if event.type equals quit, then we're going to do assist.exit. Okay, so we're going to add another new event type. Okay, so make sure you're in line with this if. So it's in our for events. So these are for all the events in the Pygame event.get. Okay, in that for loop, we're going to add another condition. So if event dot type, right, equals, and what we're going to do here is we're going to use the Pygame dot k underscore. Okay, so k underscore is a constant that we use for, it's a key, right, underscore, and all the keys are actually represented beginning with this k underscore. So if we enter a key, then I can start to read that and tell my image what to do. Okay, so in this case I'm going to start with D. Okay, and if the image if the key pressed is D, what I want to do is update my X image 2. So my X image, did I update my? Okay, so there's my X image 1, and I need my X image 2. Okay, I didn't do that. Right, another reason, right? Why didn't it pop up in my IntelliSense? Well, because I didn't update it. So there's my X image 2. Okay, because I'm dealing with my cursor now, my blue cursor. And what I want to do is go plus equals 5. Right, we're going to add 5 to our x condition. So D on our keyboard is generally moving to the right. Okay. Now I'm going to copy this. Actually, I'll retype it just so that you can see. So let's add another one. So I'm going to use my WASD keys. So if event, actually, you know what? I'm going to copy and paste because I'm a slow typer. Control C, Control V. So event up, and instead of D here, we can use A. Okay, so A would generally be moving to the left. Okay, and on our screen that would be subtracting 5, right? Subtracting 5 from our X position. Okay, and now I'm gonna copy both of these. Control C and Control V, and let's use our W. Remember that W normally would be moving up. Okay, but up. Okay, up on our screen is actually going to be down, right? So you have to decide, how you want to control things. Let's use this as our W key, okay? And what we want to do is, if I want, remember that 0 is up here. If I want to move something up, I actually want to subtract, right, from my Y position, right? So I'm subtracting from my Y image 2. Okay, and if I want to go up, I'm adding to my Y image 2. Okay, and W and S would be our down. Okay, now what you can do is add a couple comments here if that's helpful for you. So we can say this is move right. Okay, And here we have hash move left. Okay. And hash move up. Right? Knowing that's correct. And then our hash move down. Okay. So we're moving moving our blue cursor down. Okay. And you can add those extra little details if you like. Okay. Now the last thing we want to do, so that's automatically grabbing the position of our we're starting at 0, 0, and then we're using our keys to control the blue cursor. And the last thing I need to do is add the blit, right? The blit to display. Okay, so I have my cursor image 1 down here, so I'm going to copy that, Control C, and then Control V, and make sure that's cursor image 2, and X image 2, and Y image 2. Okay, and that should be good. Okay, so let's hit run, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I have one I'm controlling with the mouse. Okay, I still see that mouse cursor, which I'll show you how to eliminate in a second. But then, click. If you start using your WASD and it doesn't work, click on your screen. Okay, and that's not working. So let's go back to the debugging board. Okay. Yes, there's one thing that I forgot. Okay, and so that I have my if statements, my conditions in there, but there's something, it's not registering, it's not grabbing. So what I'm gonna do is have a look at my my conditions inside inside my event loop right here. And there's one thing I missed. If you were following along in the written tutorial, you have another event statement to add. Okay, so it's within your for loop. Okay, so it's if, right, event dot type equals Pygame dot key down. Okay, then I want to register all these things. I'm gonna grab all these and highlight them and hit tab, and that'll move them out. Okay, now one thing that I'm sorry, it's part of the process, but if the type is, if it's a key down event, then what I want to do is have event.key, if event.key, okay, is equal to the D key, right, and event.key is equal to the, right, so there's all these little things that are very particular, and we're all learning, and it's really important to make mistakes and debug your code and look to see what's working. Okay, so that's why I give you the written tutorials. That's why I'm doing the digitals. But let's run this puppy and see how it goes. But know that these ifs line up. Event.type, event.type, those line up, and they're both in our for statement, right? And now within our event.type, we have our event.key statements. Those are our conditions for, and that's where you would have all your key statements, even if you were updating the positions of different cursors. They're all different types of keys that you want to match to a movement. Okay, so let's run it, and this is running. We're on there, and I can use my WASD, and it's moving a little bit slow, but you can see it moving. I'm hitting D, moving to the right, A is moving to the left, W is moving up, and S is moving down. Okay, so there's a great example of how you can control images using two different ways: using the mouse, using some keys, and another thing that I do want to add before we close out this tutorial is that I want to hide that mouse, right? So just before the while loop, what you can do here is so I can go Pygame dot mouse dot set underscore visible. So this is a boolean, set visible, and we're going to 0. Okay, so what that'll do is that will hide. That's outside the while loop, so that'll hide. You know, see how we have this? You can see the mouse, the little arrow. Well, I don't want to see that. Okay, I just want to see. I want my image to replace that. So let's run it, and you can see the difference that makes. That should. Why is that not working? Pygame, right? Before the while, let's go Pygame set mouse set visible 0. Okay. It should hide the cursor. Well, sometimes. There you go. Okay. So I had to stop it and run it again, and you can see that there's that little X there. Okay. Let's stop it. Run it again. And it is visible there. It will disappear, right? It is the proper code to do that. Anyways, I hope that helps. You know, we're moving along, and what I suggest is that you try and create a couple of your own images. You know, edit them in Photoshop, and get them the proper size that you want. Add transparent backgrounds, and make sure, right, that when you bring them into your games, that they look proportional to the size of your game. These, I think, are really nice sizes. If they were characters on a screen, they don't look too amateur, and they seem to fit and be appropriate for what we're using them for. Okay, so go through that process, add a couple of your own images, and from there we'll start to be able to add a lot of pretty cool functionality. So I hope that helps, and you know, make sure you reach out and ask questions if you have them. All right, have a great day.